Hey, welcome back to the Schmitty 750 YouTube channel. Today we just have a little bit of service to do on this Kubota Kommander Z125s. We're just going to do the air filter, pre-filter, plugs, fuel filter, and we'll do an oil change on it. I'll have a link in the description below for all of these parts. Everything came off of Amazon, super easy to order, and way cheaper than going to the Kubota place. So to start our 100-hour service, we're just going to pop open the air filter. You just got these little latches here. Take off the air filter cover, and you can see that's pretty nasty. I probably should have been keeping this clean, but yeah, we're just getting close to 100 hours. So we'll just take all this stuff off, change it out. And actually, we should probably blow this out with some air so I don't get a bunch of dirt and dust in the engine. So all we have to do to change this out, this just old air filter just pulls right off. Got a big old opening in the bottom. Got the new air filter with the pre-filter already wrapped on it. I guess the original one didn't have one on there, so that'll just go back on there. Same way the other one came off. Make sure it's seated down on there. And you can put your cover back on and your latches. Alright, next we're going to do the spark plugs. And all it is, little spark plug boot here on the right side. That'll have to come off. And a little spark plug boot on the left side. So we'll just get these off of here. Pull it off of the spark plug. Just watch this little plastic cover right there. Make sure you don't pull it up into there and cut your spark plug boot. Or your spark plug wire. And then this is on the right side. Give it a little wiggle, and there's our spark plug right there ready to be taken out. Alright, so we'll just get a spark plug wrench. It's going to be 5/8 spark plug socket. You can use a regular socket, I guess, if you want to. Alright, now for the spark plug on the left side. If I can get to it. Alright, so you can see these boxes, they're all smashed up from shipping. So before you stick new spark plugs in on anything, it's always a good idea to check this little gap that's in here. Just use this fancy little spark plug gap tool. You can get it at any automotive store, and they're really cheap. So we want to go to, so this one is smushed in just a teeny bit. I don't know what they're supposed to be pre-gapped to. But for this Kubota, it's going to be 0.030. I don't know if you can see that or not, but your gap should be 0.030 of an inch. So now just load your spark plug and your spark plug socket. Run it in by hand at first so you don't mess up the threads. And just run it all the way in until it gets a little tight by hand. Now when you go to tighten them, there is this little washer right there. It's like a crush washer. So it will get tight and a little harder to turn with your wrench. But that should be that crush washer smushing. And then it'll get to where it's pretty hard to turn. You want to go about an 1/8 turn after that. So yeah, I'm crushing the crush washer. Alright, now it got real hard to turn. So I'm just going to go a little bit more, and I'm going to call that good. Reinstall our spark plug boot. You can hear that little snap, the little where it pops on there. You should be able to hear that. If you don't, pull it back off, try it again. Same thing as the other side. Load it up in your socket. Run it up by hand. crush washer's crushing and it's getting tight. So I'm just gonna go a little bit more and that'll be good. Same thing, should hear it pop on there. Yep. Alright, so that's it. That spark plug's changed. Like I said at the beginning of the video, all of this stuff is on in the links in the description below. So if you want to save a bunch of money, do all this stuff yourself. It's really easy and it's pretty cheap. Next on the list is going to be oil change. They've got this fancy little drain hose, makes it really nice and convenient so you don't make a giant mess. So you can just take it out of this little plastic clip that's holding it, and you can hold back up on this piece right here. That's going to be a 15mm end wrench, and then this cap that you take off, that'll let the oil drain out. That's going to be 18mm. So we just shove it down in that hole after we get the cap broke loose, and it'll drain in our little oil pan down there. Alright, so I got the little cap broke loose. We'll shove it down in that hole. So now it's just hanging underneath down here. Alright, now the oil's drained, we'll just put this little cap back on. I'll get it hand tight and I'll pull it back up through that hole and then I'll tighten it with the wrenches. Alright, now that we got that little cap tight, we'll just return this dude back to his home. And now we can pull the oil filter off. Alright, we got our oil filter wrench on there. We'll get it broke loose here. Spin it off, make sure your oil pan's under there. There's a little hole. Can you see that? Little gap right there. You can see the oil draining in through that gap. So that's pretty convenient so you don't make a mess on this big plate where the motor mounts. Alright, now for our brand new oil filter. It's got a part number on it. It's right there, or it's in the link in the description below. So just get you some of your drained oil, rub it on this seal, and we can screw it right back on where the old one came off. Nice and tight by hand. And here's our dipstick. We'll fill it back up. It should be 1.9 quarts. So we've got 2 quarts. There's your full line and your low line. 1.9 quarts, it says, will put you at full. So we got Kohler 10W30 synthetic blend oil. Alright, so the second quart, I'm just going to pour like 3/4 of it and we'll check. All this stuff, the dipstick, all this area gets really dirty, so we'll make sure wipe everything off, get it somewhat clean, so we're not dropping a bunch of stuff in that oil fill tube. So it looks like we are just on the low. Yeah, so we'll just put a teeny bit more in and I'll call it good. Alright, after your oil change, good idea to fire it up, let it run for a second, circulate that oil through the oil filter, and then you can shut it off and check your oil levels again and make sure they're all good. And make sure you don't have any leaks. Last but not least is going to be this little fuel filter right here. It's got these little hose clips. You just pinch them together, slide them back, and you can pull your hose off. Alright, so we got the old fuel filter out. The new fuel filter, you can see there's a little arrow. Well, hold on if I don't drop it. There's a little arrow right there, and it says the direction of the fuel flow. So obviously it's coming from the tank and going to the engine, so you want to make sure your arrow is pointing towards the back, towards the engine. And then install it, pinch those little clips together, and slide them forward back where they were originally. Alright, so that's the new fuel filter installed. These little clips are slid back into place, and the direction of flow is pointed in this direction, going up the hose to the engine. Alright, so we got it in the choke position all the way forward. Key on, we'll give it a little turn. Alright, so you can see where this is filled up to this fill line. There must have been enough fuel in the carburetor to get it started and let it start pulling this and filling it up. No leaks on the oil filter. No leaks on the plug. If you want to learn how to change your blades, there's a thing here, or maybe it's there, I'm not sure. But I have another video that'll tell you how to change the blades on this same Kubota. Well, that's all there is to it for 100-hour service on the Kubota Kommander Z125s. Thanks for watching the Schmitty 750 YouTube channel. Bye.